Clips.
And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Got my microphone turned on. Still got man flu. But I was fanning about this morning. Seen that Farage was on Kuenssberg. I'm going to watch it, so might as well share it with the YouTubers. So that should be actually kicking off any second now. I have no idea
TV chef Dave Myers,
this was happening
who
this
died of
morning.
cancer in February.
The procession made its way to Dave's hometown in Barrow after setting off from a famous biker hangout, the Ace Cafe in northwest London. Our correspondent
I always
Sharon
presumed
Barber
him
joins us
and
on
the
Edge.
other dude were gay and they were like boy and boyfriends.
Night in Barrow, a celebration
Well, that was
of
their
the life
shtick.
of Dave Myers. Tens of thousands have arrived.
And I
many
didn't
of
really
them
think they were
hairy
bikers.
The ride-in all the way up the M6, there was thousands of people on
I
every
thought it was
bridge.
just like a
Unbelievable.
gimmick.
As we were coming in through the towns and villages leading
God
into
almighty,
Barrow,
my nose and
streets
my
were lined,
eyes.
and it was just amazing.
The roar of tens of
my
thousands of
tits, huh?
motorbikes heard across England today began to arrive late afternoon.
That's pretty cool. So
The procession at times
anyway, all the parties are out. They are coming out with their pre-election lies. You know, the stuff that they tell you they're going to do, then they never really do, and there's no really need to do them. It's not legally binding. They can literally come out and tell you anything. Well, I done my own. And it's very, like, now, I'm going to lower the voting age number. None of this putting up to 25 to protect the kids. Fuck protecting the children. We need to make them fucking numero uno target. So we want to lower the voting age down to 11. Right, so we can get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and fucking Mickey Mouse out there fucking campaigning for us. Now, in my manifesto, I promise to all 11 to 16 year olds £10 free Play Store or iPhone vouchers. I pledge that to you in my manifesto. For 16 to 25 year olds, unlimited pot noodles and a free penis removal or construction. Free penis stroke vagina removal stroke construction. I need to go to my civil servants and get them to word that a wee bit better for me. 25 to 55 year olds, 20% off gyms, 1 free tattoo a year, and 1 free months of Netflix. And for 55 year olds till death, 1 free house clean a month, rid the UK of old people home smell, and 1 free tattoo removal a year.
Who is on their way to number 10?
And 1 free
The Prime
Dignitas.
Minister's had a dreadful few days after his D-Day
Nailed
blunder. But the Tories are still trying
All
to
right, Jock,
torture
how you
Labour
doing?
with their disputed claims about tax. The power of the smaller parties has been centre stage this week. And there's been more antics on the campaign trail, and full-on Farage has been making the Conservatives very nervous. In the latest of our leader interviews, he will join us from Essex.
I don't
And
know if people
Stephen
can
Flynn,
fall for
the
that.
leader of the SNP
Just
in
like
Westminster,
Nigel Farage
will join
standing
us
there
from
sticking a
Aberdeen.
pipe. Oh, he's one of us. I
In the
drunk a
studio
pint before.
for the programme this morning, Mel Stride, close ally of Rishi Sunak, the Work and Pensions Secretary,
What?
and
I
the
thought
woman who would
Farage
be
was on.
Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood if Labour wins the election. Welcome to you both. Mel, rough old week for you guys.
We've got time. We've got 4 weeks to the general election, Laura, and the only poll that's going to matter.
These
is what
people
happens
need to
on
make
July
themselves
the
sound
4th.
Thought you might
important
say
as
that.
if like,
Shabana,
people
you
are still
feeling chipper?
listening to them.
Well, I agree.
I mean, YouTube has more influence than these people nowadays.
July the 4th, we're in a strong position, but we're still
Like,
out
seriously,
there fighting for every
YouTube
vote.
has
Okay,
more
well, we'll look
influence
forward to speaking to
than these
both
people.
of you a bit later in the programme. And we'll hear from John Curtis, of course, who will
But
give
they
us his
cannot
60
tell you that,
seconds on
'cause
Sunday.
they are the
His need to
Illuminati.
know on the polls.
Now, as many as 1 in 4 2019 Tory voters are saying
Clear!
they will back reform.
And our team at the desk for the next hour this week,
Right,
Amber
hold
Rudd, the
on.
former Conservative Home Secretary.
I want my money
Matt
back.
Rack, the boss of
I'm not going to
Fire
listen to this
Brigade
piss of
Union,
fag,
and
isn't it,
John
on?
Cardwell, billionaire,
goes
I
with-
think, and former Conservative donor. A warm welcome to all of you.
Aye. Hold on. Nigel Farage is on it. Right, okay, thank fuck. Panic over.
And morning, of course, to you. Let's start with the headlines, as we always do,
Hashtag-
on the
is that
front
the
of the
same
Sunday
dude?
Times, a
It's just-
front page
I
that
know
might
people
please
with
the
their
Labour
avatars
Party.
and
They
put their
splash on
names
their
on
promise not to raise
Oh,
some
shit.
key taxes in the manifesto coming this week. The Observer also has a Labour story going on the party's promise to set up
I'm
specialist
sorry,
courts
man.
for rape
It's
cases.
white noise.
The Daily Telegraph
It's white
has
noise. None of them are talking
energy
about free
secretary
pot noodles,
Coutinho
free tattoos,
says that
free
Labour
penises and
plans for next year
vaginas.
would risk
Nothing that the
blackouts.
people want to
Nigel
hear
Farage,
about.
we'll hear from him shortly, claims to the Express that Reform, his party, are the real opposition now. And of course, many of the papers carry the worrying story about
They've
rescue
manoeuvred
teams
themselves
search for
perfectly,
missing
haven't they?
TV presenter Dr. Michael
It's been a political
who disappeared
masterclass.
while on a
Hey, I agree with
boat
their PoliTITS or no, man. They fucking came out of nowhere.
across the BBC through the day. But let's, with you three,
Through the
welcome
power of little
to
England
the
bigots.
election. It's been a busy old week. And John, I know you've been watching on for some time.
Came right up in the
Gave money
polls.
to the Conservatives and backed Boris Johnson. But I know you've seen
All
Keir
right.
Starmer too. He's
Wee
been trying to get
joke.
your support. Have you made your mind
Hashtag
up?
Pete.
No, not at all yet. No, I think I think the one thing that's fairly clear.
Kuenssberg has been
I'm not
passed
going to be
around the
Conservative
establishment
voter.
like a scud in the jail.
What the Conservative Party
I'm going to
actually
upgrade
did
that
for
joke and
COVID
say it like a mobile
was
phone in
really,
the jail.
really appalling. There was a huge waste of money and policies put into place that were not fair and were ridiculously overgenerous in some cases and under.
Hold on, mate. I've got a bit of a cold as well, man. Here's a throat, sweetie. He just sound like he's on a sex line.
Generous in others, so there's a lot wrong with what he did. So I was very critical of Rishi right the way through his Chancellor days, and I've seen nothing better since he's been Prime Minister. So I think the Tories have had their day. It's too late for them to recover. So definitely not a Conservative voter, unless they change dramatically in their policies, and that would be mainly to do with energy.
Reform.
Because we cannot keep destroying the planet. And Rishi going back from 2030 to 2035, I saw as another really negative stance.
But you are still an undecided voter, and there are
I'm
plenty
undecided,
of them.
and I am still there to
Stay
be
tuned.
one, but I just don't see the
Maybe
Tories
some
coming back from
more
this
folks
in
will
terms
tune in
of
and
what
I'll
I
go
wish
over
to
my
see.
manifesto,
it's
which
interesting.
is
Polls often
definitely
make
a
the point
winner.
there are still lots of
Winner chicken
undecided
dinner.
voters, which is why the parties are working so
Just don't
hard.
tell
Let's
any
take a look at what
of the
happened
leaders,
this
they'll
week
steal it.
with who
She
won.
definitely didn't fall out the pretty tree, didn't she? No, it's like she's almost like a
Well, he was
spitting
off.
image
Then he was
character
on.
without
Nigel
meaning to
Farage
be.
will run as an MP, but he got splashed with a milkshake on the campaign trail for
Oh
his
my
troubles.
God.
Rishi Sunak missed the huge opportunity to appear
Right.
alongside other
Can I
leaders
just?
of the
Can
free
I would just
world
like to
after
interject. See if that was some other politician, and depending on how they wanted to frame it, they could frame that as like, "Oh, our politicians are under attack." See if that woman was fucking wearing a Celtic top or a Gaza fucking flag and started going la 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 la, and it was like that would have been a terror shake. It wouldn't have been a milkshake. That would have been turned into terrorism, and our politicians getting absolutely attacked and everything. Just look, there were the Danish PM get pushed the other day. Oh, sorry, let's get back to the spitting image character.
He went home early from the D-Day commemorations, leaving Lord Cameron there to hobnob with world leaders in his place on Omaha Beach. It also gave Keir Starmer the chance to look like a Prime Minister in waiting alongside President Zelensky. And in
He
the second
is
of
getting
this week's
brought
debates,
down from within.
36 separate tax
Oh.
hikes in the last Parliament. About 12 new taxes that Labour are going to bring in. It's not rubbish.
well, while the Tories and Labour were arguing, the smaller parties had the opportunity to display their wares.
Especially
So,
the green
Amber,
thing. Look, you can
You're
even
not in
just
frontline politics
quite
anymore, but I
see
know
her.
you'll have been watching closely.
Yes, I couldn't resist.
And what do you think of this week's events?
I thought Angela and Penny both did well. I quite thought that sort of scrapping was honest. They both had their lines to take and their points they wanted to make. And
I've had my head rewired. See, these, like, you know, there's the air of like authority, like these people know what they're talking about and stuff. I just don't get that anymore. I don't see any reason why I should listen to her over wee Bob and the fucking boozer. Do you know what I mean? It's just these talking heads are just. It's like talking to somebody in a YouTube community. They're so far in the cult, they can't see their head's so far up their arse, their head's up their arse, they're in their own wee bubbles. And people that end up in like, the BBC and stuff have this pure illusion of grandeur, like they're important. I write for the Times, don't you know?
Things going on.
Interesting.
I mean, Sargon of Mossad probably has more influence over the population than you do nowadays.
Very many occasions.
And that's reality.
Very quickly is something that people liked about him.
Well, I think they did. I mean, I appreciate John takes a different view on that, but the fact is, for most people, the decisions he made to support people during the COVID pandemic was the right thing to do and allowed them to have enough money to carry on. It was absolutely critical.
John, in terms of what the Tories could do to get you back, you say you'd need to see something completely different. What would that look like?
Well, it would definitely look like the environment first.
In the morning, DJ, don't worry, Harry Hill's leaving, and we're getting Nigel Farage at some point.
Tax scheme that encourages inward investment.
I'll tell you what, see this whole election thing, it needs Nigel Farage. See, without Nigel Farage.
Because in that way, as the environment becomes more
I think what's equally, what's more boring
compared to what's coming down the road
than watching this bunch of politicians trying to argue over, trying to debate meaningless shit to people.
Will be eminently exportable over the next few years.
Meaningless stuff.
Really
the vast majority.
Grow the GDP per capita.
Vast majority could quite happily sit and talk for half an hour about bringing people on boats. Easy.
So it's all a virtuous circle.
Wait a day with asylum seekers. Easy. That's what people actually give a fuck about now because of the programming and the social medias. And all the people are more concerned about the talking points at the far right than any of this shit.
Sure, you've been any but maybe you can give us a few hints. So
not a word on Gaza, not a word on Ukraine. They're all, there's no debate about those topics. George Galloway, who's he? Nigel Farage, well, he's a wee bit, can talk about some brim people and boats, man.
Woo!
Well, that's a wee fucking 5 minute.
Mr Farage, if you get what you want in this campaign and you grab millions of former
I think that's where he's standing.
You're making it easier for Keir Starmer to get to number 10. Why do you want him to be Prime Minister?
So he can be the next?
I don't particularly, but I have to say the Conservatives have broken trust with the country, repeated promises in manifesto after manifesto to reduce net migration to tens of thousands a year.
SS Reuters.
And now they've opened the doors to such a scale. Do you know that 1 in 30 people in this country today has come here in the last 2 years? The numbers are astonishing. The breach of trust is huge, and it's a total betrayal of all of those people that lent their vote to the Conservatives in 2019. And I do believe this should be the immigration election, the exploding population.
If you don't remember what happened in 2019, that was when Bobo got in, right? And the Conservatives got a big majority. And that was partly due to the Brexit and the brown people on boat thing, which Farage stood out. Farage, it was UKIP at the time. Farage was in charge of UKIP at the time, and he stepped down in 300 seats, I believe. UKIP stood down in to allow the Conservatives to get in, which allowed Bobo Johnson to get the majority that he did, and Nigel Farage done that on the promises that the then Conservative apparatus headed by Bobo gave to him, which, as it around Brexit and around brown people and boats, and as it transpires, it doesn't look like Farage think he got what he wanted.
Population is impacting on housing, on rents, on the health service, on infrastructure, and the other two parties don't want to talk about it.
But some Conservatives, Mr Farage, believe what you are doing also adds up to a bit.
Mr Farage. See, sometimes I have different names for people, and sometimes slip into it without even realising it. It's like Sunak. I need to really think about his real name without calling him Shushak, which is, by the way, Polish for small man's a wee boy's penis.
Trail, because the logic of you running in this
Things
campaign
you
in
pick
the way
up
that you
along your
are
way
makes it much easier potentially for Keir Starmer to get to number 10. So I'll ask you again, why do you want him to be the Prime Minister?
Taking out polling companies like Savanta, who don't even prompt for reform, which is outrageous, opinion the same. If you look at the other polls, in the red wall, Reform are ahead of the Conservatives and are now the challengers to Labour. If you look in Wales, it is now neck and neck between us and the Conservatives. So in the red wall, a Conservative vote is a vote to put Labour in. The whole game is changing. This old tired mantra that a vote for this party or that party helps the other side. And look, back in 2015 when I led UKIP, we took more Labour votes than Conservative votes. So you know, frankly, let's be honest, the election's over. Labour have won already. Whether the majority is 200 or 350.
And you're edging for
immaterial.
2029.
Is who is going to provide a voice of opposition in Parliament and in the country to a Starmer government? The Conservatives are incapable of it. They argue more with each other than they do standing up and fighting for their constituents or the country. And I think Reform...
And I hate to champion Vag in a political sense, because I don't think there'll be any difference, and I would rather watch Vag at PMQs every Wednesday than the other guys' names, who I'm stuttering and stammering to remember their fucking names.
Needs to be in the House of Commons, and we've got a 5-year plan leading up to a general election of 2029. We're dead serious about this.
Except
the Conservatives have their chance, they've blown it.
Except that many viewers will remember that in this stage in 2017, Theresa May, a month out, was absolutely miles ahead in the polls. It looked like she was cruising to victory. Mel Stride's already told us, Shabana Mahmood's already told us and reminded everybody not a single vote has been cast. So you are taking voters' decisions for granted and claiming that you can be the real opposition. Is that credible?
I tell you what, if you went outside London and you met people in this constituency and others around the country who voted Conservative for the first time in 2019, they're loathing for the Conservative Party as such. There is no chance of them going back. So let's face the facts. I know from a media perspective, you'd love to think that it's undecided. The election is over. The question is who's going to be the opposition. And right now, we're just 2 to 3 points behind the Conservatives. If we overtake them, well, you could find a big surprise result in terms of who gives that voice of opposition.
Well, let's then...
I bet, right now, here's a question. Do you think... DJ, you took the words out of my mouth. Tommy giving him a... Copy off screen. But I was going to say there, do you think the Communists will be voting for Vag? I honestly think they will. You know, and that's where the truther movement is. That's the doorstep a lot of people have turned up on after getting interested in Bigfoot and UFOs. And who killed JFK? You know, and next thing you know, you love Trump and you're voting for Nigel Farage. You haven't been groomed. No, you haven't been groomed, y'all. It was all about truth, love, and truth and freedom and love, freedom! Meaningless shit. Just like the manifestos. Absolutely fucking meaningless. Gutless. Like Russell Brand. Like all these politicians say so much, mean so little. I mean, anything worth the... Let's get back on with fucking Mr. Prawn. Or the Beaker for the Muppets, or a prawn, or a bit of both. But was Beaker from the Muppets a prawn? Or a, what do they call them, shrimp?
Turn to some of the policies that Reform is putting over. You took over the leadership rather dramatically this week, having said you wouldn't run. You are now running, but I think not everybody is familiar yet with your policies. Now, in Reform's contract with the people, you call for £50 billion worth of spending.
Where's this contract? Where does it exist? Have you got a contract with anybody, any politician? Have you ever voted? See, when you vote, what do you put in the box. Now, we were voting before the country was as literate as it is just now. So there might have been some people back then who couldn't sign their name. So they would still want them to vote. So just put your X here, you fucking idiot. And there's your social contract. That's why you'll get idiots that want to prop up this system. All these institutions, give them the ability to stand, the authority to stand above you and go, I've got the power invested in me by a magic man in the fucking sky to lock you up. my idea is to take away their authority. So if nobody votes for them, they can't stand in front of you and go, we rule and govern and police by consent. Only fucking one man and their dog voted for this shit show. Anyway, that's my moment when there will be real revolution, I thought, without having to fucking knock any cunt over the head with one stick. You know, all we do is need to stop voting for this tripe. Then we can have a real discussion, man. Until then, it's just all cannon fodder, do you know what I mean? I protest. It's not as if they've got armies of people fucking wearing fucking protective outfits, standing there ready to kettle the shit out of you and rattle the fuck out of you with no consequences. You know, I don't know whether it could have been the best thing or the worst thing, but remember when the communists tried to storm Downing Street? If that happened, if they got over that fence, they would have got machine gunned down. How many do you... It would have been good in the sense that, number one, there would have been less communists. And number two, people would have realised, like, the institution you're fighting with your little fucking signs and placards and I hate Muslim day outs and shit, you know? They've been geared towards this for fucking, like, thousands of years. That's how they govern. That's how people in charge govern. They know how to control the populace, beat the shit out of them into submission. Look what's happening in Gaza. No food, no water, no toilets, no shelter, no fuck all. Beating them into submission like a fucking dog. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to Farage. He's going to save us all.
Spending cuts. So which public services would you get rid of?
Well, here's the point. The Bank of England is paying vast amounts of interest on their QE borrowing. Yes, I know it's very technical for a Sunday morning. I'm doing a press conference tomorrow in which I'll lay out how we can save 35 billion.
QE borrowing, quantitative easing borrowing, quantitative easing is allowing the Bank of England to print more money and then the government borrowing it off them. Yeah, Bank of England, we want you to print more money. Aye, is that okay? Aye, well, we need to say that you're okay to print that money, right? Okay, we'll print that money. Right, can we have our money now? Aye, we'll give you the money that you allowed us to print, but we're going to borrow it to you. How'd you like them apples? Aye, fuck it. Every cunt's a winner chicken dinner, man. Just don't tell the fucking great unwashed, man. Just bamboozle them with fucking abacuses and fucking Jufros and all the rest of it, man. And up a bit, down a bit, left a bit, right a bit. Boom, and your money's gone. Austerity, cost of living, not a wartime economy or anything like that. Now, get your free pot noodles in my manifesto.
Before we even start, I'll unveil all of this tomorrow. But yes, you're right. We want to raise the level at which people start paying tax.
City boy Nigel. Chug in the morning, my man.
7 million people out of the tax system, mass simplification, a huge incentive for those not in work to go to work, and that's what I'm going to lay out tomorrow morning.
But I think viewers would like to know...
Listen up, slaves. Imagine a city boy wanting to make us slaves a wee bit more fucking productive for the machine. You know what I mean? Fuck, we don't need one people in boats. We need the fucking slaves we've got here fucking competing better, bigger, better, stronger. For the machine. I mean, is there any political party that's went in there and went like, fuck business, we're all about the people. Two to the fucking head straight away. And no hookers and blow. You know what I mean? You'll get a double tap to the head and a double tap to the cock, man. And the nostrils.
Already saying you'll cut £50 billion of public spending, so which public services would you get rid of?
Yeah. Well, it's not about getting rid of public services, it's about making them more efficient. It's about the National Health Service not swallowing up huge amounts of money in diversity training and things like this. We want to live in a country where everybody is treated equally. And by the way, raising the tax threshold to £20,000 will be a lot of civil servants that we can get rid of.
But even the highest figures for spending on diversity training, which you cite there, Conservative Way Forward, the group have looked at this, and they say the most that you could get back would be 427 million, which out of cuts of 50 billion, that's a drop in the ocean.
Well, OK. All right, I'll go on. The inheritance tax threshold should be raised to 2 million. We will go on with other areas like that. Mass simplification of the tax system, which will bring us enormous savings.
Up a bit, down a bit, left a bit, right a bit, boom, and your money's gone. Yeah, it was tax reasons up a bit. The inflation was bad this year, you know, up a bit, down a bit. And then the other year, man, like inflation in real time, wages in real time, not in fake time, because we'll tell you in other figures, but then in real terms, you know, like, so there's this figure that we can use, but then there's another figure that will say that that's it in real terms. So in fucking real terms, my granda could support fucking 8 kids on 1 wage. In modern day terms, fucking 2 parents can't support 1 kid on 2 wages. That's real fucking terms, fucking prawn, man. Politicians, full fucking stop. Who the fuck do you see stand up in Parliament and say that shit? Yeah, business has turned us all into very much productive slaves. Yeah, fuck the home, fuck the family, fuck it. Well, you've got a vagina, get to fucking working for it, we'll send you to the front line. Here, you heard Ukraine's quite nice this time of year, man. They've got lots of jobs. Yep, vagina, good. You're good to hot to trot, baby. Get your fucking flat jacket on the way out. There's your booking pass to Ukraine. Batter in. Anyway, because it's all about fucking a woman having choices. You know, if women want to run into machine gun nests in the name of shite, they should be able to do so. Who the fuck are men to actually try and protect a vagina or two, you know? Fuck that.
In terms
we want productive slaves.
You said on Friday, and you've mentioned this morning, you'd like to reform the NHS and you'd like to have a French model. Now, in France, there are upfront...
Well, we're here. I'd fucking like a fucking French model too, man. Hey! Oh, hello, Mrs. Baguette. Oh, yeah, are you available? Oh, yeah. You're a baguette model. Ooh. You can do what with a baguette? Ho, 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 ho. Don't take that out of context. Nigel Farage wants a French model. Has he not already got a bit of foreign totty? That's the funny about all these fucking far-right fucking crackpots, man. They've all got like East European fucking model-like fucking bits of stuff, man. Who can blame them? You know what I mean? They're cheaper.
Cost that people have to pay. They get some of it back, but not all of it. Is that what you would like to see in this country, where people have to pay up front for their healthcare?
Let's be clear. We want healthcare to be...
EJ, I forgot about fucking Tommy's bus. Remember, he was going to get a bulletproof studio, he was going to get a big red bus,
from just a few
all
years
sorts
ago,
of shit.
spending 7.5% of our national cake to 11% of the national cake on health.
That's a conspiracy.
You're watching BBC News. I'm Martine Croxall. Votes are being cast to elect the European Union's next parliament.
Health service. What we're not having...
Model. Now...
Oh, right, hold on, right. I'm on BBC News. This is on BBC One, right? I get it. I thought I thought the 13 minutes by. I thought the Illuminati was out there. There we go. What's Nigel Farage said?
For those of working age who are getting some...
We want to live in a country where everybody is treated equally. And by the way, raising the tax threshold to £20,000 will be a lot of civil servants that we can get rid of.
But even the highest figures for spending on diversity training, which you cite there, Conservative Way Forward, the group have looked at this, and they say the most that you could get back would be 427 million, which out of cuts of 50 billion, that's a drop in the ocean. Model. Now, in France, there are...
Inheritance tax threshold should be raised to 2 million. We will go on with other areas like that. Mass simplification of the tax system, which will bring us enormous savings.
In terms of other things that you might want to do, you said on Friday, and you've mentioned this morning, you'd like to reform the NHS and you'd like to have a French model. Now, in France, there are upfront costs that people have to pay. They get some of it back, but not all of it. Is that what you would like to see in this country, where people have to pay upfront for their healthcare?
Let's be clear. We want healthcare to be free at the point of delivery. That was the founding principle of the National Health Service. What we're not having a debate about is this. We've gone up from just a few years ago, spending 7.5% of our national cake to 11% of the national cake on health. And guess what? The delivery has got worse, waiting lists have gone up. This model is not working. The French system of mutualisation is producing far better returns, whether it's stroke, cancer or heart disease. What I'm saying is, let's have a proper, open debate about this, because
oh man, it really is how you perceive shit, right? Like, number one, you could edit this and say that he wants to sleep with a French model, don't we all? And there you can kind of, it's like the Bill Gates thing when he's talking about vaccines. He's like, if we do a really good job, we could something like that. If you take this out of context or go with it a wee bit, you could see that he's, the French model is doing it. The returns, that we're getting more cancer, we're getting more strokes. The returns we're getting, baby. And no, I understand how he's meaning it. I just like to take the piss.
Frankly, everyone knows that the NHS is not working the way it was 20 years ago.
I want to ask you about the Prime Minister's early exit from the D-Day commemorations this week. After that, you said that he wasn't patriotic, and you said that Rishi Sunak didn't understand our history and our culture. What did you mean by that?
Yeah. Absolutely right. You know, he couldn't make a mistake over D-Day. He should have known in his heart that it was right to be there. I was there. I've been raising money for some weeks to send veterans back to Normandy. The vast majority...
Vaj. Come on, Vaj. You know what she's meaning. Because you were referring to him, because he's a brown cunt. He doesn't understand the Blitz.
People in Britain.
His mum and dad were... He's Indian, isn't he? His mum and dad were making curries while we were fucking getting bombed by the Nazis. I think that's kind of what he meant.
Felt this commemoration was important, and the last opportunity to honour the remnants that are still alive. And by the way, I know what your question's leading at. 40% of our contribution in World War I and World War II came from the Commonwealth.
India.
He is utterly disconnected by class, by privilege, from how the ordinary folk in this country feel. He revealed that, I think, spectacularly when he left Normandy early.
Very well. That was bobbing and weaving politically and fucking at his best there, man. He done well to wriggle out of that one, didn't he? Made it about class and him being rich. Mate, you're probably richer than Sunak. I would like to see those numbers against each other, you know. And how Vaj... In fact, it's very clever how Vaj is engrossed himself. Is that the right word? Endeared himself, maybe that's the word I'm looking for. Endeared himself to the working people, not working class. They don't exist anymore. Working people. Very clever how he's done it, man. Very clever. You know, sitting with a pint and a fag like, yeah, man, he hits the Brahma like me, so he does the like Nigel Farage. He's one of me, man. He having the pipe like in the fag. No offence, Middle England.
And out there now, there are millions and millions of people who
were
Conservative voters, traditional Conservative voters, not the Red Wallers, who are now thinking, do we go on supporting the Conservatives or do we support reform? And this is going to be, I think, the acid test of this election.
But Mr Farage, when you say our culture, I think many of our viewers might imagine that you are trying, not very subtly, to invoke, to emphasise the Prime Minister's immigrant heritage.
Yeah. I just made the point, 40% of our contribution in 2 wars came from the Commonwealth.
That
Clearly,
isn't what she's talking about. That isn't what she's talking about. He fucked up royally with that comment, and now he's backtracking like a motherfucker. Just put your balls out on the table, mate. You'll for all the fucking bigots and racists that support you. You'll get more respect if you just put your balls on the table.
Doesn't understand that, and what an insult to the Americans. You know that took place.
Yep. No. Yeah. Question with a question. In the room, Vag. In the room. You were talking about Sunak being a little brown cunt that knew nothing about World War II.
That took place above Omaha Beach, where the Americans suffered so grievously. He has made the biggest mistake of his political career. If it wasn't an election campaign, there'd be a leadership challenge against him this week. The man is not fit to lead the country.
The Sunday Times today is carrying a story about one of your aides and colleagues, George Cottrell, who has a conviction for wire fraud in the America and has been named in another criminal investigation in Montenegro.
Ooh, Donald Trump
shit.
shit.
Want him by your side
Walk
on
him
the
up.
campaign trail?
I firstly always stand by my friends, and secondly, there is a thing called Christian forgiveness. If people get convicted of something or do something wrong, well, they have another chance in life to go on and prove themselves.
I get that DJ, the big eye over his
Thank you very much indeed for joining us from Clacton here, I think, where you are standing for election. And there is, of course, a list of all the other candidates who are standing in Clacton. Information about every candidate who's standing in this whole general election is available for you on the BBC website. So wherever you live, you can check out what is going on. Now, we just have some important and sad breaking news to bring you this morning. There is very little detail so far, but we can tell you that a body has been found in the search for the TV and radio presenter Michael Mosley. That's according to a rescue worker in Greece who has spoken this morning to the BBC. The 67-year-old vanished on Wednesday.
This is a tragedy. I just don't know why it's reaching so much near the top of the news cycle. Was this guy like bald deep with
programs and Radio 4's Just
the Illuminati or something?
And we were lucky to have him on one occasion in the studio here. And of course, we will be following that closely throughout.
Thank you, Spitting Image Puppet.
Let's then talk to Mel Stride, the Work and Pensions Secretary, who was listening to Mr. Farage during that interview.
Are they going to talk about
Welcome
the Vag?
To you. Thank you. I just want to ask you first of all about Mr. Farage's remarks about Rishi Sunak not understanding our culture. Now, his defence of that was that Rishi Sunak doesn't understand the contribution from the Commonwealth and he doesn't understand the contribution from Brits in World War II. But what did you think of him saying that? And what did you think of his defence of those remarks?
So I think they were deeply regrettable comments. I'm not entirely sure he addressed the question that you put.
Oh shit, DJ, I've lost the context of that, mate. Or forgot. I've zoned out. It's also on Aussie TV, this kind of shit.
Or the Second World War as part of the Allied effort. But I think deeply regrettable is how I would, because I think they are suggesting.
Was it in one of those caves looking? That's a shame, man.
Stoke this whole thing up.
Why do they keep referring to him as a TV doctor? I keep thinking I'm like coming out and fixing my TV when it's no well. I'm like, nah, he was a doctor that was on television.
Lead you to somewhere you're not willing
Surely
to go.
he's putting him down like, oh, he wasn't a doctor, he was a TV doctor. It's like almost like he played a doctor in Casualty or something.
We've had in our country, and it's a source of great personal pride, as somebody who supported the Prime Minister, wanted him to be the leader of our party and our Prime Minister, that I've sat around a cabinet table that's the most diverse in history, and I'm very proud of
Oh, the doc, right, I get you now, DJ. That's strange as fuck then. Why the fuck is this one doctor, this one dude went missing? How many people go missing on hiking trails and all that every day?
Involvement in government has been characterised by
I mean, like, and like, it's all sympathy to his family and all that kind of jazz. It's not like,
about some of those
I'm
policies.
just wondering
the
why.
So far in this campaign
It just,
been
it can't be just distraction.
Policy after
I mean, they would
after
start
policy.
reporting on funny animal fucking galleries again.
What you would call
Some
the
shit
war
like
on
that.
motorist. They're clearly designed to appeal to voters who have deserted you or may be about to desert you. And they are clearly the kind of voters that Reform UK is also going after. If you look at how the polls have been moving, isn't Nigel Farage beating you?
Always doctors with
So I think you've
vanishing
got a very
relatives
sensible
of
point to Nigel Farage, which is basically a vote for reform is a vote for Labour. It's going to help get Keir Starmer into number 10. What we've got to concentrate on, the leadership we've got to show, is to set out the
So
clear
even some of the
the
biggest players in our political system are sitting there admitting that, like, there's no point in you voting for who you want. No. Don't vote for who you want, because then this might happen, so you should vote for them to make sure that happens. What the fuck? You're trying to fucking tell me that this system doesn't need blown up figuratively and fucking started again?
On people's lives. Now, if we take the group that you're talking about, I think older voters are
GG.
equally very important.
You want stammering.
Something that we will bring in, which will make sure that those pensioners who are already benefiting from the triple lock itself will not be dragged into.
Right, see, I won't bamboozle all the old people with triple lock pish and all that.
Come forward with a triple lock.
One free house clean a month.
Brought into income tax.
One free tattoo removal a month. This is for the over 55-year-olds. And one free Dignitas or similar institution booking per family. And of course, this is my manifesto. What we'll also do, raise the lower the voting age to 11, get them fresh out of traps, right? Because we want to be in there in nursery school brainwashing these fucking motherfuckers, these stupid ass kids, to make sure as soon as they're 11, they're ready to vote the way I want them to vote. So, for 11 to 16-year-olds, free Play Store and iPhone vouchers, right? That's, nail that demographic like that. Then for the 16 to 25-year-olds, unlimited pot noodles, solve hunger, and a free penis stroke vagina removal stroke construction. I need to work on the wording of that, but you get the drift. And that's for the 25 to 55-year-olds. That'll nail that demographic. And then the 55-year-old to death, as I said. Free house clean. Stop the UK having nowhere will you find anywhere that will smell like an old person's home, because they'll all get one free house clean a month. That's if they don't take us up on the free Dignitas voucher.
But the point is, judges by our track record.
And then also for the 25 to 55-year-olds, one free month on Netflix. And one free tattoo each year.
So the evidence is we are much better.
Perfect. Like, I know. If you imagine you turned on your BBCs and there was somebody telling you that manifesto, you would be all in, wouldn't you? Free tattoos, free pot noodles, fucking Dignitas vouchers. Fucking get your mum and dad and all the old people, house cleaned. And the kids will sit and shut the fuck up because they'll all have their free Play Store and iPhone fucking vouchers. Nailed it, and I've got the whole fucking spectrum of the voting muppets out there. I've nailed it. I should be a political advisor, that's what I think. So what would your suggestions in the comment box for your manifestos, ideas for your manifestos? We could re-legalise plant food.
Innovation and benefit fraud that HMRC have, for example. So those things will have a significant impact.
Sometimes you need to flush a steamer twice.
To welfare, and you are announcing this morning some extra money for talking therapies to help people get back to work. And you're also re-emphasising.
So that's my manifesto. I've nailed it.
To the welfare system. But where's the evidence that these changes
suggestions
anything like the 12 billion?
With demographic, I was thinking about this. We could also go down just the male-female demographic.
And the graphs of welfare payments and the numbers.
So that's like the age demographics, right? But we can go down the male and vagina one as well.
Conservative administrations, the lines go one way. They go up and up and up. So where's the evidence? What you're
no, hold on.
For
I'll get the communists in, right? This is how I'll get the communists in.
For those of working age who are getting some kind of.
So the communists will be able to get to select one brown person in a boat.
9 billion.
They put in the I'm a brown person in a boat, get me out of here catapult, and launch them. This is another thing on my manifesto to deal with the brown people in boats. It's like a lottery.
14 billion less.
So you just go like roulette, brown person and boat roulette, and you just choose one of them, right? But we'll let the communists choose one each year, stick them in this catapult. Now we won't need to get any international agreements, right? This is my thinking. You know, space debris, that doesn't pick where it comes down. It just falls randomly, and nobody can really complain.
So over 500,000.
Is it just randomness? So what we do is we get a fucking, I'm a brown person in the boat, get me out of here, catapult, and just fucking launch them up. I've got some humanity with a gas mask, not with a gas mask, with an oxygen mask on. Launch them up into the stratosphere. Where they land, who fucking knows, right? But just a wee angle on it to make sure they don't come back to Britain. They land in the Atlantic. We'll give them a rubber drink. We'll give them a fucking life jacket just to make sure. And if they land in the ground, we'll have a parachute. So life jacket, parachute, fucking oxygen mask, launched into the stratosphere. To even make a wee satellite out of them for a wee bit, man, before they have to like burn up back into re-entry. So the communists will be able to select one brown person for their town a year to send back. So they can stand outside the hotels and go, good guy. Right, oh, Mohammed, Abdul Mohammed, you come here. You're in the fucking catapult this year, man. And that's got the communists votes. Then, right, for the how can I get the Hope Not Hate mob? Well, the penis removal and all that shit will get the Hope Not Hate. Ken doll dudes and girls and its and shits. So I've already got a Hope Not Hate, Ken doll wanting motherfuckers with the penis removal and construction.
He feels it very deeply. And I know that because I know him quite well.
I think I've nailed it. I think that's a feasible manifesto. It's Nigel Farage's email address.
But he did not attend the international event in Normandy, and he accepts that's a mistake.
We could have made that
judgment. Can I just to go on, because I think this is really important, because it goes to the character of the Prime Minister. This is a man who did stand up for us as Chancellor during COVID because he cared about people's living.
Are they still talking about PoliTITS? I zoned out there. Focusing on my manifesto. Vote PLF
under those conditions.
Or
and as it comes to veterans, he has had in his cabinet Johnny Mercer
KLF,
as
is
a
that?
Representative.
Is that a band? KLF is going to rock, yeah. My trip. I'm making it up. My manifesto for the 16 to 25 year olds would include free mega bus ticket to the free Palestine rally every Saturday. That would do it. That would get the Hope Not Hate mob. A free. Yeah. Oh, don't have cracked it. This is great branding. A free Palestine party every month. You know, like we'll rent out a big fucking rent out like a big old industrial unit, right? Like an illegal rave kind of scenario, which means the communists and all that don't need to fight with them, so it'd be cutting down on the riots, cutting down on the violence. But and do you get it? The free or it could be the free Palestine party every month, you know, because it's free, as in it costs you nothing, and then it's a free Palestine. That's a good idea, Luton. Can work for that. That will get a plenty in.
Which is that
free mushrooms. Fuck! How did I miss that? Right, for the 25 to 55 year olds, free Joe Rogan subscription. That's kind of goes in part with the gym shit, doesn't it?
But that's interesting you say that because you were
free Joe Rogan.
That huge turnaround.
Not that he's in jail, but free Joe Rogan subscription because I think he's went behind paywalls and all that now.
It doesn't feel like
and
free
mushrooms.
We went from sort of something like 17 points ahead.
So you can all get in, melt your fucking heads into a very suggestible state, and then watch Joe Rogan. I heard that's good fun.
Having listened to the interview with Nigel Farage, is that in politics it is very easy to make announcements.
Good suggestion, Luton.
About the delivery. And Nigel Farage goes around making these extraordinary announcements, and he has no idea how to deliver. And the example of that I would give is that the whole Brexit campaign was about immigration. Vote for Brexit so we can curtail immigration. On and on it went. And actually, immigration has continued to increase 8 years after we voted. It's not about making policy statements, it's about delivery. And that's why people need to vote for MPs who can actually do that.
Caleb is going to rock. He was right, man. Who the fuck did I know that?
Are you going to vote Conservative?
Absolutely. I always vote Conservative, but particularly because I have a very good local MP.
Get on the last train to Trans Central.
Re-elected to hold the Labour government to account.
Just check. Matt, you've got a real twinkle in your eye.
Definitely nailed that manifesto, that's for sure.
There we go. That's a big scoop. Headline, Union boss won't be voting Tory. Matt, what do
you... Oh, God. I didn't even realise they were still talking. See, get them young. Sky News, Comcast.
You manage both.
But there is
give her some free Play Store vouchers.
Who may not pick up a piece of a pen and
she might be fucking 42 for all I know, man. She looks about 12, but
and they can go online and create actual branching stories. So choose your own adventure kind of story games, and it's so easy to do.
Oh, God. Sunday morning. Shit on news channels. Oh, look at this guy, he's got nice socks.
In Sudan, you played a key role early on in the negotiations, trying to bring the two sides together, but you were accused of being a little too friendly with the RSF commander, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo. Yeah. That whole situation resulted in you, as Kenya, being accused of being biased. It led to Sudan being so angry that it withdrew its ambassador from Kenya.
Yeah, well, you see, I just took the money and gave it to all Mohammeds to kill each other.
And have you lost an opportunity to bring lasting peace and stability?
To be fair, we have done the best that we could. There are...
Yes, I tripped up all the guns fell out my pockets and everybody picked them up and started killing each other. I do not. I done my best. Look at my suit. It's £1,000 suit.
People who would have wanted us to take sides. And unfortunately, Kenya is not known for taking sides.
Oh, that's Kenya?
Kenya has a long history with Sudan. We worked with Sudan in the challenges they had for almost 30 years. In fact, Kenya was the country that eventually brought about the comprehensive peace agreement that established, working with the United States, working with the Troika, that established South Sudan as a country today. We were in the middle of the negotiations. In fact, most of the negotiations were carried out in Kenya because we are not only fair.
That's where the British royal family have a lot of strongholds. Yeah, all
facilitate consultation.
But that's the part. Now, are you entrusted with Luka there? Because Sudan clearly doesn't think so. If it's going to withdraw its ambassador because you met with Hemedi.
I am telling you, Al-Burhan visited me in Nairobi.
Iraq,
Hemedi visited
Syria,
me in Nairobi.
Lebanon, Libya,
Both of them,
Somalia, Sudan, Sudan, you decide.
The one side is accusing me is, why did I not Hemedi? But, you know, I know too well from experience that...
Yep. It's a wee bit too heavy for a Sunday. I've got quite a nice day planned, so I'm not going to get bogged down with too many dead bodies, babies and bodies this morning. Man suspected of pushing the Danish PM in custody. In fact, fuck it, I'm not going to go and do a full roundup. Oh, that's not like this baldy guy. Flynn! Something Flynn, I'm learning his name and everything.
Which of course would scrap 100,000 jobs and wouldn't invest in that net zero
future. He does look like a peanut
back on the £28 billion net zero commitment. And then, of course, there's the Conservative Party position.
He doesn't
which is
have
to
an
act like
accent,
oil and
so
gas
that's
will
all right.
last forever when it won't. They're almost becoming climate deniers like Nigel Farage. So the option for people in Scotland is very clear.
You criticise Labour's plans for a windfall tax and their overall tax rate on oil and gas profits to 78%, and you say, and you've just repeated it there, that could cost 100,000 jobs.
I think it's a summer
but the
cold,
SNP has
man.
backed a windfall tax of 75%. So why is a 78%
feel
windfall
fine.
tax a complete disaster
My nose,
and a
eyes and
75%
throat
tax
are
rate something that you support?
My eyes only this moment.
So there's two answers to that. Firstly,
There's
additional
only one
revenue
answer to
which the
that,
Labour Party
and our
are seeking
bongs,
to
if I
take
my
in will
eyes
not
open.
go into household bills. What it's going to do is flow from Scotland straight into nuclear power projects in England, which is of no benefit to people in Scotland. But secondly, and these aren't my figures, 100,000 jobs, these are independent investment experts. It's what Unite the Union refer to as putting people on the scrap heap. That is what Labour's future offers, is 100,000 job cuts. And I will stand against that because that's not in the interests
He
of
does, he's
Scotland's
aiming for a
economy. We need to
fucking
make
role in
that we have
Braveheart.
a just transition which
I
allows
will
us
stand
to meet our
against
climate
that.
targets. Now, just over my shoulder is a wind farm which Donald Trump,
He has a
the
slightly
famous,
better Scottish
climate
accent than
activist,
Mel
opposed.
Gibson.
That powers that provides enough energy to power all the homes in Scotland. Just out the back of this building I'm in is the
does all
largest
the snow
floating
come
offshore
from?
wind farm in the world. Scotland's future when it comes to renewables is huge, but we need to grasp it. The only way to grasp it is to invest. The Labour Party don't want to invest in that future. They walked away from £28 billion. The SNP want to invest in that future.
See if he
And
could
that is the difference to
harness
this
the
election.
power of the human body
Stephen Flynn,
to
thank
create
you so much
snot
indeed for joining
when
us
it's
from
not
Aberdeen,
well.
looking glorious this
I think we
morning.
could
And
power
there's a
the
list of
whole
all the other
world on
candidates standing in
snot.
Aberdeen South, his constituency. And just a reminder that do have a look on the website to see
Crazy
who
idea,
the
but
candidates
weirder
putting
things
themselves
have
forward
happened.
in your part of the world are. Right, let's see what our panel made of those two interviews. Amber, you were Home Secretary for a long time. Shabana Mahmood wants to be Justice Secretary. These are justice and crime are very difficult briefs, a really, really
What a
tough gig for
slaphead.
whoever is in charge. What did you make of her comments this morning?
I thought she
Oh,
did
he's
well.
all
I
in
think
on the
she made
European
a very
Union
good
and all
point
that jazz, mate.
She doesn't actually
He's
know
baldy.
what's going on in terms of the early releases, so until she gets in, she can't really comment on that.
I like him in
would
the
be more
sense that he's got a
unequivocal
ball here of
about saying,
charisma and you
course we
can,
want
like, you
a
know,
lower
you don't
prison
fall asleep
population.
listening
The
to him.
problem with the prison population is it continues
Yeah,
to
but
rise
I
because
don't agree with
we
his
continue
party
to
or
give such
politics.
long sentences, which is a new thing over the past sort of 30 years or so. Shorter sentences mean you can give more effective punishment and hopefully rehabilitate. I also think the thing about reoffending, so much more needs to be done about making sure that people have the support so that they don't.
Look, and I
reoffend
don't know
and
if you've
they're
heard
supporting
what's
their
happened.
communities.
Sturgeon's husband is
Labour is
being
very firm,
charged or is in the process of getting charged and all that.
Like nobody
That's why
gets,
it's went all quiet on the home
no
front,
shadow
because it's now a
ministers get
criminal
big
matter.
checks from Rachel Reeves to spend on
So
what
until
they
it's went
fancy.
through the
How
courts and
difficult do
stuff,
you think that
everybody
makes things for the
in
party?
I think that is going to be difficult. I think, again,
Press
that's one
world
of those debates that's going
has
to take place in the
to,
Labour movement
keep
and
it
with the
stum.
trade unions. I think some of us would have probably seen a more, want to see a more clear commitment to greater expenditure, including addressing issues of tax. We'll see what the manifesto says on that, but I suspect you're right. There will be a very firm line.
Does anybody know the history of fire
Nevertheless,
brigades?
some of those issues, some of the
You know,
ones
like
that Stephen raised there, are
politically
not going to go
powerful.
away. The question of how do you fund a just transition,
and for obvious
to a new
reasons, are
economy
held up
are
in the
gonna be,
highest and
huge
highest
issues
esteem.
facing us.
Would you have rather that
See,
Labour
back in the day,
kept
before
hold of
the
their promise to
taxpayer
put
paid
£28 billion a year
for
into
fire
drainage
brigades,
and-
they used to rock
we
up
made
next
no
to your
secrets at
fucking
the
burning
time
building
that
and
was
go,
our
right.
view, and I think it's probably the view of a number of the
Aye, we could put that out.
unions, that decision's been
Yeah,
taken. But
we have a
as I
fire
said
truck
earlier,
here.
I think the
We
question
have
about
lots of water.
implementation, those issues
And
will
basically
not
wait
go
to get
away.
paid before
the
they do
question
it.
that was raised there, and you mentioned earlier about
You could say they
concern
were
about
extortionists.
jobs in oil and gas
Extortionists,
has
is
been
that
raised
they were
by the two big industrial unions who are affiliated, the Unite and the
I don't know if
GMB,
that's
have
the right way
raised
of
those
phrasing it.
points, and those
But you get the
debates will
point.
go on because people need jobs to pay their bills and sustain their lives.
But John, you've also raised though already that actually you think the big parties are just missing a big opportunity here, and it's interesting. Climate change is an issue and an opportunity hasn't really come up much in the election campaign.
No, they missed the
Got
point completely.
Nigel Farage.
there's
I
a
thought he was
way
going to.
of
The way they were talking, I
transitioning
thought
to
it was
net
going to be
zero
like a special
Britain
with him and the
in a very, very
studio
lucrative,
talking about
profitable way.
their manifesto,
If we
because
had
the
the
political
differential
parties are
corporation tax
launching
to
manifestos
attract inward
today.
investment in science and technology, and especially in the environment, if we put a government fund, a big government fund, not 28 billion, which the
News is like right said Fred convention. Do you know what, Pete? Now that you mention that, right? They fucking, it's like people were talking about brown people on boats of military age. What about the invasion of the Baldies? Fucking Baldies are everywhere. Do you know who I blame? You know who I blame? I blame Pep Guardiola. Till he came over here with his big baldy peanut and fucking, where he's fucking cool looking, fucking, I'm from the continent, clothes, look how sexy I am, fucking bit of stubble,
and that was going to deliver
and fucking nothing on top.
Opportunities for Britain.
Well, we'll see if the politicians are listening to you.
Everybody had hair. Then he came
go,
over fucking looking all sexy, winning all these fucking championships and shit. People were like, yeah, I'll be having that, I'll having a wee bit of that baldiness.
What do you think happens next to the
I'll be having a wee bit of the peanut action.
I really don't know the answer to that one. I think it depends who gets back in. For the Conservatives, I hope that the strong centre-right voices get back in. So that
I've already had
when
2 hot
they have
showers
a
this morning.
reflection of what happened
granted
in
one
this
was like
election,
4 or 5 in the
centre-right
morning.
can make the case for the fact that it wasn't because we were too right-wing, it's because we didn't occupy the centre space. The centre ground, everybody says so, and it's always proved correct, is where you win.
And could there be a place for Nigel Farage in the party?
And that's where Farage cracked it for
because I think he is, as Shabana said, a bad influence. I think he's divisive. Politics is hard enough to go into. There's enough of
Shave your
in
nut
politics.
for justice.
And if you have a voice that tries to divide people, and as she said,
I blame the X-Men and Pep Guardiola.
Even worse for people. I don't think he can deliver either.
The invasion of the Baldies.
Really try and deliver.
And Vin Diesel.
Okay, well, we will see what happens in the next few
Bruce
weeks.
Willis.
It's been great
and every
having
other
you with us
Baldy
this
famous
morning. As we
guy
go
I can
along,
kind of think
we
of.
check the politicians' facts as they happen. Today, Nigel Farage said that his
I
party,
blame
Reform UK, was
spitting
only 2
image
to
for-
3 points behind the Conservatives in the opinion polls. That is a very selective take. There have been 3 polls where the gap between the two parties was that small, but many more where it has been wider than that. And several pollsters have put the Conservatives over 10%.
Doberman, it's not even 10 bells and I already feel like
Mel
going back
Stride
to
was
my
talking about the
bed.
Conservatives' record on closing the tax gap. That's the difference between the
Back jet.
total amount
Oh,
of
hold on.
taxes due and
Hold
the
on,
amount
hold on. Look how, look, it's real. Look, there's a pure bit fucking fact
the government
check.
actually collects, where the gap between the two.
Compromise.
Okay, well, we will see
Right,
what
hold
happens in the
on,
next
hold
few
on.
weeks. It's been great having you with us this morning. As we go along, we check the politicians' facts as they happen. Today, Nigel.
It's a new thing. Imagine that. Imagine that. Checking politicians' facts out. Wow. This is such a new, great concept. I think we should need a new tagline. Oh, they've already got... They're ahead of me. These people know how to produce a news programme. Yes, folks. We're only nearly 100 years in the game. And finally, we're going to check the facts of politicians. Yes, it's a revolution in reporting the news.
Farage said that his party, Reform UK, was only 2 to 3 points behind the Conservatives in the opinion polls. That is a very
false
selective take. There have been 3 polls.
Yeah, so they're slapping down you. Imagine that. The first fact they checked is the bullcrap Vag is spewing, and they're slapping that down. You know, because it's a grey area. It's not a fact. It's not one or the other. It's like it's semantics. They're arguing about what poll to believe. You know, who's Erection? They fucking huddle round.
Where the gap between the two parties was that small, but many more where it has been wider than that. And several pollsters have put the Conservatives over 10% ahead of Reform. Mel Stride was talking about the Conservatives' record on closing the tax gap. That's the difference between the total amount of taxes due and the amount the government actually collects.
Institution?
He said that the gap was lower under the Conservatives than under Labour, but that doesn't really tell the full story. It was already falling under the last Labour government.
Paul Rogan and Andrew Tate. We're shaming on the Baldies.
And a reminder for you again of that very sad breaking news. A body has been found this morning in the search for TV and radio presenter Dr. Michael Mosley on the Greek island of Symi. That's according to a rescue worker there who has told the BBC. The body is yet to be formally identified, but I'm sure everybody's thoughts will be with his friends
Tate
and
said
family
his dad
today.
made him bald because it made him look hard.
That is all that we've got time for this morning. A
Well,
huge thank you to my guests.
I blame
John
you've
and
just
Matt,
made me
and
get
an even bigger
flashbacks.
thank
I
you to
blame
you, of course, for watching at
Grant
home.
and Phil
And
Mitchell,
buckle up.
EastEnders.
As we said, the manifestos are coming. It's another chance for the Tories to try to grab attention. Theirs is expected on Tuesday.
For
Buckle
Labour,
up.
it's another moment when they will
told
be
you.
trying above all else to avoid making any mistakes. Tomorrow night, the Prime Minister will be here with Nick Robinson at 8
It's
o'clock on BBC
nostalgia
One
for
and
sucking
on
Chubba
iPlayer
Chubs
in the
when
first
raving
of
on
that
E.
series of interviews with party leaders.
Are you
Plenty on.
blaming Chubba
And
Chubs?
I'll be on Newscast later on BBC Sounds today. And as ever, you can
I would
catch up
say
with
I'd blame
anything going
coconuts,
on
but they're
at
pretty
iPlayer,
fucking hairy.
and I will look forward to seeing you right here next Sunday, same time, same place.
Paul, mine's 2024. Right. I don't know if that was worth it or not. Like, what the hell's on next on BBC One? The Sunday show. They're going to be talking about all that stuff. Fuck, it is only 10 o'clock.
Operation led by emergency workers. Yesterday, new CCTV footage emerged showing him heading towards a path that would have taken him over.
Have the Tories sweating. Helen McDade
Scottish told you we rule the world.
In Scotland this morning. They're standing in every single seat here. I'll speak to her
hold
too.
on, is this the Scottish show?
After that, at 11, it is over to Fiona on the radio and on BBC Sounds. Hi, Fiona.
Morning. 4 hostages kidnapped by Hamas have been reunited with their families after being rescued in a raid that Palestinian officials say
even
killed
she's getting the
scores
Tor
of
Rogan
people. We'll hear what's
fucking-
happening on the ground. We'll do some election number crunching with our
Please,
resident
see if
pollster,
he's on a
Ailsa
TV,
Henderson.
producing it in a
And
TV
Scotland has
studio.
been
Just
bouncing
fucking make
to
it
the
look like a
sound of Taylor
fucking
Swift
TV.
And Girls Aloud. We'll catch up with fans who've been to both
Fucking
games.
Tor Rogan has a
More
lot to answer
All right,
for,
Fiona,
man. This
thanks very much
style
indeed.
of
We'll
fucking...
hear from you then. Right,
let
let's
me,
get on with the
I'm in the studio. I need a microphone fucking shoved up my fucking nostrils to make it look like I'm as cool as Tor Rogan.
Yes,
Hello,
another
Baldy
campaign
gun.
week over, another week closer to polling day.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go. I'm going to fucking buy a big fucking. I'm going to buy a big bunch of wigs.
Well, in the next week or so.
A big
You,
stock.
I'm sure, will
Hundreds of
already have
wigs.
some thoughts
A
on the
discount,
campaign
obviously.
so
I'm going to buy
far. If you
hundreds of
do,
them.
please share them with us online. The hashtag
And take
on
them
social
down to the
media
BBC
is,
building
as
and
ever,
fucking punt my
BBC
wheels,
Sunday
man.
Show. So, was this the week where the campaign really ignited, really started to deliver? It feels like a while ago now, but we had the first head-to-head TV debate, remember? Between a nervous Sir Keir Starmer and a hectoring Rishi Sunak. Did he lie about...
Is border force like a real thing? I'm getting mixed up with a TV programme. There's a TV programme, I'm pretty sure it's got force. Is it? Oh, it's up here in Scotland, I think, called Police Force or something. I think I might be getting a wee bit mixed up. But I thought that's what you were talking about, Linton.
About Labour's tax plans. Labour certainly claim he did. Then there was the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings. The tributes, the dignity, the emotion, the huge
And
electoral
Sunak.
blunder from Rishi Sunak. David Cameron lining up with world leaders. So where was the Prime Minister? He left to do a TV interview, bringing fury down upon himself, even his own cabinet colleagues calling him out. And here in Scotland, a hastily arranged press conference. The Tory leader Douglas Ross announcing he would stand in this election after all, taking the place of the former Scotland Office Minister, David
See that
Duke.
guy? I heard he back in the day. He was in a movie called Honey, I've Shrunk My Nose.
He's been ill recently, but he said he was looking forward to running for Parliament again. Oh, no, you don't, said his party, who deselected him in favour of their leader. Not a great look, many seem to feel. Well, let's get some thoughts on the week that was with this morning's panel. We're going to have a panel, of course, every week at this election campaign here on the Sunday show, bringing us the benefits of their experience and their expertise. With us this week, we have Chris Stark, the former head of the Climate Change Committee, the watchdog, which has wrapped the knuckles of both Holyrood and Westminster recently. He's now with the Carbon Trust, helping businesses reach net zero. Talat Yaqub, a regular campaign here on the Sunday show, bringing us the benefits of their experience and their expertise. With us this week, we have Chris Stark, the former...
Nothing quite says to me like I want to save the planet. I'm really concerned about it than wood panelling in your lovely living room. I can tell this guy fucking saves up gingy bottles and goes and buys fucking sugar for his tea. You know, and I bet you he drinks Tetley. In fact, this guy will be drink fucking Earl Grey or chamomile or some shite, right? But nothing quite says to me, my Jesus sandal wearing hippie who cares about the climate, the most manicured beard and hair you would ever see outside of fucking Hollywood, and wood panelling in your living room. Looks lovely. I would fucking have wood paneling like that.
Head of the Climate Change Committee, the watchdog, which has wrapped the knuckles of both Holyrood and Westminster recently. He's now with the Carbon Trust, helping businesses reach net zero. Talat Yaqub, a regular, of course, on the paper review with Fiona on a Sunday morning, is a writer and campaigner focused on equality. And Dougal Sharp founded the Scottish brewing giant Innocent Gun. He was an outspoken critic of the Scottish Government's now defunct deposit return scheme. Good morning to all of you. Thanks all for being with us. Talat, let me come to you first. People have been complaining it's been a boring campaign up until now. It kind of ignited this week. What did you make of what you've seen?
Nigel Farage?
Well, it ignited, and it ignited into flames for the Conservatives, certainly. This has been a particularly bad week for them. From Rishi Sunak's position in the TV debate, where he has been now called out by senior civil servants for essentially what Labour are saying is a lie. His DD.
I heard this morning on one. Do you know what it was? It was the Times Radio, and I heard the talking heads on there talking about how Sunak's own party has removed him for this campaign. People were talking about how he wasn't talking to the media and all that yesterday, and apparently his own party, are removing him from the campaign. Listen to a wee bit of this and I'm doing it off. Grab a quick
leaving early from D-Day commemorations to come back for a press interview, to which even his most loyal voters will find particularly difficult. Now, the Conservatives can't afford to lose much trust and faith with voters, but their strongest base is in those who would have wanted to see him there and commemorating and paying tribute. His own, in the papers today, his own senior team, included David Cameron, are furious. And then, of course, it's Douglas Ross taking the position from a candidate and former MP who is recovering from a spinal injury in hospital, who says that he was told whilst in hospital that he can no longer run. This is not a good look for Conservatives, who are approaching decimation in the polls as it is. And I can only conclude that either somebody senior in Rishi Sunak's team doesn't want him to win, or perhaps he doesn't want to win himself.
Well, we shall see. 4 long weeks to go.
Oh man, I'm a fucking political clairvoyant.
Plenty will happen between now and the polls, that's for sure. Chris Stark, we in the media tend to kind of obsess over optics, imagery, that kind of thing. Are we focusing on the right things here? Can you understand why there is such public interest in the events that we've described, and not much attention in this campaign by anybody, really, to climate issues?
Well, I can understand it, but I think the underlying issues are still there, that we have a challenge to decarbonise a whole economy. There are a global set of issues in play here. And as you say, Martin, we've heard almost nothing about that in the campaign. What focus there has been at all on climate issues has mainly been on that old issue of oil and gas licenses.
What I want to talk about is Scottish dentistry, buddy.
Some of the bigger challenges here about how we move ourselves around, how we heat our homes, the jobs and industries that we have beyond oil and gas. It's another one of these election campaigns where sadly we're not really dealing with the big issues. But let me say, of course I understand why we focus on these things. I mean, the Prime Minister's had a terrible week this week. And of course that makes the headlines. And I think one of the challenges in my area in climate is that you've got to turn it into news. And it doesn't always work that way. So, I'm one of those voters that's been looking at the events this week with as much interest as you. So, I understand all of that.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. Your professional passion and the passion in most of your life, but also got to decide how to cast your vote like the rest of us. Dougal Sharp, are you hearing what you want to hear so far in this campaign?
You've got
what
to.
Should we be talking about?
Got to. No other.
I think this week
choice.
Particularly, like other weeks in the run-up to this, it's been very hard to engage. And I know there's been lots of playground sort of stuff going on in the background, and a lot of stuff in the media about who's been where and things like that. But I'm really looking for information on what's actually the key policies and the manifestos and how we're going to change the situation we're in.
You're looking for the manifestos. I'll crack the jokes. Like, my manifesto fucking blows all the rest of them out the water. Right, before I do the off, let's recap my manifesto for the mentally insane, although this would work. Firstly, lower the voting age. You need to lower that voting age down to 11. Get the kids straight out the traps. Get the political the ideologies that you want to install into children, into nursery schools and primary schools. What could possibly go wrong? We need to get those children early. Then as soon as they're 11 and 16, boom, they've got their smartphone, they're tuned to the moon. So you get their vote. I'm going to get their vote. This is my manifesto. With free Play Store and iPhone tokens. Every time they need to vote, they rock up and go, I'm going to vote for you. There's your vouchers. Easy peasy. That's that demographic, 11 to 16-year-olds, man. Give them a smartphone and some vouchers, and you've got a voter for life. The 16 to 25-year-olds, unlimited pot noodles. A free penis stroke vagina removal stroke construction, depending what side of the train tracks and all that jazz you're on. That'll get the 16 to 25-year-olds, man. They can mutilate themselves any way they want, as long as they vote for me, a democratically elected dictator. Now, then we go up to the 25 to 50-year-olds. So, free Joe Rogan subscriptions, free mushrooms, right, so they can get high as fuck, listen to Joe Rogan, get full of mushrooms, get very, 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 very suggestible. We'll give them 20% off their gym memberships, one free tattoo every year, and a month's free Netflix every year. Boom! You've got the whole 25 to 55-year-old demographic sorted. Now, then we move up to the 55-year-olds till death do us part slave. First, Sunak wants to rid Britain of smokers, making it illegal for people under whatever age to buy fags moving forward. And that isn't gay people. What I want to do is rid the UK of old people home smell. So what we'll do is every old person, 55 plus, gets one free a month home clean to keep their house from smelling like old people. Also, because the younger generation get a free tattoo, for the older generation who are sick of their embarrassing tattoos they got when they were younger, you get one free tattoo removal every year. Fucking cracked it. This will keep these industries propped up nice and fucking lovely. And one free dignitas per family, just to keep the population, just keep enough slaves, keep the wheels of commerce ticking over. And that's my manifesto, and I think... and then to keep the communist Nigel Farage demographic all happy, they all get to select one brown person in boat to put in a catapult and ping up into the stratosphere per year. So they go around their town, even hang about, I don't know, fucking hotels or anything. Just they can finger one guy, boom, and because they're all male of military age, and we'll stick him in a catapult, fire him up to the stratosphere, and then he just becomes space debris where he lies, where he falls. That's his problem. We should have thought of that before he came over here illegally. So that's my manifesto. Knocked it out the park. Have a nice Sunday, you all. You left out the porting all the Tommy cars. Well, do you know what? I'll try and get a wee alliance going on with Hungary, and we can deport all the white nationalists over to Hungary. And in fact, we'll do a 1-for-1 swap. They can have the ethno-nationalists, is that what they call them? The white nationalists. And we'll swap them for one of their Hungary dudes that is just off white. You know, it's like half-baked. Oh, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to joke about this shit anymore. Or am I joking? I think the catapult idea is a winner. GG, take care. I should be in tomorrow morning, unless I'm fucked. But believe it or not, I actually feel better. I don't know if I feel better today. I feel the exact same, but just I can feel the snot running out of me, which is a good sign. I think. Enjoy Speaker's Corner, Litton. Hopefully you've got good weather for it down there. Stick a wee thumbs up, share it, friends, family, foes, all that good stuff. Tune in tomorrow just before 9 bells for your daily PoliTITS fix. If you like politics but are sick of the tits, tune into your daily PoliTITS for your fix. Get it, got it good. Have a nice afternoon, everybody. Clips, and remember. Clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the notification bell as well. And $19.95 plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.